The felon's worried about getting into heaven, and we're worried about getting out of hell. Let's look into that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. If you're a new subscriber, huge thank you. Thank you for liking, watching, commenting on the videos. Your comments make the algorithms work. The thumbs up makes the algorithms work. I appreciate each and every one of them. If you are promoting the channel on your social media platforms or sharing the videos with your friends, huge thank you. You're the reason why the channel has been growing. So thank you. So the felon says today that he's on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to getting into heaven. A truthful statement? Seems like it. Uh, and then he talked about how getting Russia and Ukraine to end this Russian invasion could possibly improve his chances of getting into heaven. Now, we'll put heaven and hell aside, but I think the questions we need to ask are, and I've thought this for quite some time, does he know that he is dying? And how long does he think he has? And is the Ukraine-Russia negotiations really just about him? Did he tell the truth there? It's really just about him. Remember how he said on Air Force One that his soul was good after his medical exam at Walter Reed? And we read about that and we thought that's one, an odd thing to say. And two, I think that's when we first started talking about him knowing that he was dying. Actually, I think I talked about it earlier than that, but um, is this just another sort of trying to make my soul healthy by manifestation sort of thing? Um, and everybody asks me when he's gonna go. Fall decorations is all I know. It's not like I can tune in and get a specific date. It's never really worked like that, but usually the imageries are pretty accurate. Um, so we'll see if we can't pinpoint that just a little bit more. And then we'll look at the US in September and October, and that might also give us a little bit of insights. So let's first start with, is the Ukraine-Russia negotiations just about himself? Okay, so is this Ukraine-Russia negotiations, is this just about himself thinking he's somehow going to save his soul in some twisted, perverse way? Um, I think it's becoming increasingly clear that his health is quite uh, on the decline. That doesn't mean it's not stable. It just means it's on the decline. I've always thought it was going to be kind of a sudden event. I never thought it would be drawn out. Here's the card for dementia underneath. Um, and yesterday we talked about congestive heart failure, the lack of blood flow to certain spots in his body. I think that's all true. I think he also has a form of dementia. Um, I think it's everything. He fits the bill for Parkinson's. He very well could have that as well. Um, so what about this Ukraine-Russia negotiations? Is this just about him? Just about. Yeah. See the page's swords in the water, and he feels like the page's swords here, like just this immature um, saboteur that's willing to sell out Ukraine to get a peace deal so that he looks like the winner, which is really unfortunate. I don't think that happens, by the way. Uh, he's got a lot of anxiety um, around getting this deal done. you know, um, it feels kind of like there's a sense of urgency in his brain. And I think I talked about this a couple weeks ago, where it's like if I tap into his energy, which I don't do a lot because it's quite uncomfortable, but it's like a tennis ball being beat back and forth against two walls. It's like just like that. That's kind of like his brain is nonstop, yet even though it's nonstop, it's completely incoherent the whole time. We get the chariot card and the environment around, wanting forward movement, and we get balance and justice. That's interesting in the upper right, and we get judgment. Yeah, I think he actually spoke the truth here. And the high priestess at the center of the reading. It's a lot of major arcanas right in a row. Um, I think he spoke the truth. He is quite ill. The Four of Swords is the card for illness and things coming to the surface. The Moon card. And here's the Page of Swords that I was seeing in the water. He is like he's willing to sell out Ukraine. He doesn't care. He thinks that if he makes a deal, this somehow improves his uh, karmic standing in the world, although that's not exactly how things work. And the Ace of Swords, he knows what is true. So he has a lot of anxiety about the things that are going on in this negotiation because he knows what he's doing. He knows the truth about what the negotiations are, and he knows that karmically it's probably the wrong thing to do. Um, well, I don't know if he knows. I think his body knows is a better way to put it. I think this is why he keeps talking about the truth. So things are coming to the surface that were currently behind the scenes that are his way of trying to achieve balance in his life from being doing really evil things to what he's considering to be a good thing. But I think history and the universe will judge it as probably being a bad thing. Um, Unless, Russia just leaves Ukraine, there really is nothing good about it. Um, he has this forward movement. He keeps thinking about Judgment Day. So he's trying to speed along these things. It's like, like a half attempt at Christianity. It's a half measure at best, if it's even that. And he's doing it because he knows he's very ill. So I think certainly everything is pointing to that direction. Underneath, just making blind choices, pleading to the heavens, hoping things work out. So I think Ukraine and Russia, that those negotiations are just about him. That's all they're about. Uh, is just him. So does he know that he's dying? Yeah, does he know that he's dying? Let's look at that. Not in the sense of we all know we're dying, but in the sense of like it's going to be relatively soon. Does he know that he's dying? I've always wondered if there isn't a part of him that thinks if the Democrats get in control in 26, which they will, regardless of Republicans' efforts to change the rules, that the Democrats start investigating things and his estate gets put on hold and is put in probate for a long time while lawsuits are brought forward. I think that's his fear, but I don't think his fear is unreasonable. I think that is kind of what happens. I have always seen the kids as not being broke by any means, but not having a ton of money at the end. Of course, by our standards, it's going to be a ton of money. Okay. So, yeah, does he know he's dying? Getting the Hermit card and the Scrying Bowl here. This introspection, this really contemplating himself, not in a healthy way like you and I would do, but in this kind of perverse way. We get the Three of Cups, circles of support. I think there are three people that know the truth here. Probably, yeah, or three groups. Temperance, this is the card that comes after death. He's trying to, and his twisted and perverse understanding of the world, we're looking through those eyes, which is hard and unpleasant. He thinks he's, you know, living a tempered life at this point at times. He knows in the past that it wasn't that way. Um, he's quite defensive about his health. This is another sign. I really do think he struggles to hear as well. There have been a couple instances where he's answered the wrong question that was asked. He keeps thinking about Epstein. That's why I feel like he keeps bringing it up, is he knows how dark that really is. For it's just a tarot reading. I could be right, I could be wrong. It's just for entertainment, but he knows how really dark that is and his part in it. The Hanged Man, he's just waiting. Yeah, I mean, he knows. He's just waiting for it to come. Um, how long, we can see if we can't narrow that down, but it's pretty hard to do. The Eight of Pentacles, if one plan doesn't work, try another. So, he's on, like, what do we say, plan A, B, C, D. They're getting to like plan E right now. They are just guessing at what to do to keep him ticking. There's some guardrails that are being put up. I think there are people that are well aware that his cognitive ability shouldn't be trusted. And so I think, there are things going on to make sure that the world is reasonably safe. The Emperor card, abuse of power. He, the body knows. It's, karma works in weird ways. It's kind of like, if you, like if you pretend to be sick to get out of, something and you're not, then you might get sick. Like karma has its way, right? So, um, the body knows about all these abuses of power. He is worried about the Democrats as well with the King of Cups. And then here's the Page of Swords again. So he's currently got circles of support. They're on who knows what plan D or something like that as far as trying to keep him ticking. But it's just a matter of time. He's on this tightrope. Eventually, he's on the tightrope reading a book. Birds are flying around his head, and he's carrying a bunch of light bulbs and walking in high heel shoes. Well, I guess she doesn't have shoes on, but um, the point is things are very tenuous. It could fall at any point in time. All that abuse of power has led to a lot of these health conditions. Um, and he's very defensive about it as well. And he's just waiting. He's worried about the Democrats. They're trying to put up safety nets around that so Democrats can't investigate him. This is the manipulation in Texas with the voting districts, for example, because he's worried about what happens after his death. That is what's going on here. Um, he very much knows what's going on. Um, he has everything at his disposal, but it's not going to be enough. Currently, his health is relatively stable in the sense of, uh, he's not going to fall ill and be in the hospital tomorrow, I don't think. Um, the chariot card, all those things with Epstein, they're catching up with him. And he soon will get a new beginning, but that happens, after he's gone. Okay, so um, when will he go? And let's look at the US in September and October. So let's start by looking at the US because I think this will give us a better picture here. Can you show us the US in September, please? What do we need to know about the United States in September? So we got some eclipses coming in September. What do we need to know? About the United States in September? Okay, we get the Three of Cups, circles of support. Interesting. We get the Democrats and the environment around. I think there's going to be a lot of questions starting to happen. And of course, we're ramping up towards the 2025 elections. After Labor Day, things will start to ramp up. There's not many, but there are some, governor's race in Virginia, governor's race in New Jersey, the mayor's race in New York City, for example. And the Queen of Wands, a kind of a prosecutorial type energy there. Um, Families, reunions, and celebrations in September. That makes sense for Labor Day. The Labor Day is on September 1st, so partnerships in the center of the reading. People are going to be focused on their families in September, but everybody's on edge. Everybody feels like we're on a tightrope. That's just the way we feel. Um, now we're fine if we don't focus on politics for a few seconds, but then, everything comes back to it because that's just the way it works. Yeah, the devil, a lot of toxicity here. So I think people are going to be very interested in Epstein, stability, the Four of Pentacles, and then the Seven of Cups. So there's some support around, partnerships, but people aren't very trusting of it. I feel like we need to throw some clarifiers here. Toxicity and misinformation about partnerships, but the prosecutors will get to the bottom of it. That's what makes me think it's about Epstein here in September as well. We do have some stability. I think that's just the markets being fairly stable in September. There are so few cards that have kids in them that they always make me wonder when they come up when we're talking about the felon. Of course, here we're talking about the country, but the country, is kind of obsessed with Epstein. Nobody's letting it go. The Democrats are going to keep pushing it, and everybody feels like they're on edge. Underneath, people are looking for the truth. They're mad about the greed. They're curious about what's going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of fighting, there'll be more and more questions about his cognitive help with the Five of Swords as well. So, it feels like a month where we're all just kind of on edge. Um, that doesn't mean it's not the month that he goes, by the way. I just thought maybe it might give us some more insights. We'll throw cards on that here in a second. Just the US in October. I've never thought he makes it much past October. Just the US in October. It feels like that end of September, beginning of October to me, but I'm always a little bit leery with timelines. The indicator are fall decorations. I think that's, the timeline that we've been given. I don't know if we're going to do better than that today, but we'll try. October, it's a very illusioned and delusioned month. Nobody knows what's real. Nobody knows what's true. Here's the Hermit card. A lot of introspection, re-examination of the nation itself. This does have a very much like he has gone feel to it, and judgment as well. Judgment of ourselves and judgment by others. Yeah, new leadership. He's gone in October. Um, Here he is at the center of the reading. Everything will be on him, the King of Pentacles. Giving and receiving of information or things of value. Bombshells and surprises. Yeah, this makes perfect sense. Loss, the Five of Pentacles, and that's a progression to the Six as well. And celebrations. So, you know, nobody's going to know what to believe about him, but at some point in time, it turns into celebrations. So people are confused about his health, but then something big happens. This most likely it's quick. Like I don't think that he's, in a hospital bed for weeks. I don't see that. I think he dies very quick. Um, so it's a surprise when he goes, and then he encounters judgment. But we also start thinking about the country and ourselves after he's gone. It's like a fog lifts, is what it feels like once he's gone. It's like everybody like looks and goes, what was that about? That's what it feels like. So there's a lot of introspection going on in the country with the Hermit card. And of course, we get a new leader because the current one is dead. Um, and, this causes the market to go down, and then the market will come back up. But it'll be a loss in the sense of financial stability for a while. People are going to feel scared. Yeah, the Five of Cups loss, lots of loss. But then the sun comes out, and then, everything's illuminated. People are feeling pretty good. That lasts for a little while. And then we go back into realizing who's really running the country isn't all that great. But then we organize with the Nine of Pentacles, and then there's lots of celebrations, which I think is what tamps down a lot of Republicans' actions is just the sheer number of people that celebrate his death. Um, so it feels like it's in October. I think let's just stick with this deck. Okay, so um, let's just, is he gone by Halloween? Let's just ask that question. Is he gone by Halloween? I think it's earlier than that. I'm just trying to play it a little bit safe here with the cards. Is he gone by Halloween? No. Columbus Day's always stuck out as kind of an ironic day. Um, as we had moved towards Indigenous People Day, and now he's moving us back towards Columbus Day. Gone by Halloween. Can't feel him anyhow. Yeah, I mean, the Ace of Wands is a yes card, but it's also a card for new leadership. So then we get the Hermit again. This feeling of isolation and circles of support. Just feel like there's some reaching out. This actually feels like Mexico, Canada, and the US, like Mexico and Canada paying their condolences, so to speak, but also kind of using this as a chance to like talk to the new leader to try to de-escalate a lot of the stuff that's going on. Um, yeah, I mean, people feel calmer in October. That doesn't mean things are good when Vance takes over. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying people feel calmer because things are more predictable. And Judgment's at the center of the reading. That's a pretty good confirmation that he's gone. That's what he's worried about. So, um, and we're moving out of the troubled water with the Six of Swords. And again, the plans just fail. They go through all the plans and they fail. Um, and unlikely partnerships. Do you feel like there's a period where people are relatively on Capitol Hill, that is, they're relatively sane for a short period of time. And then full illumination and celebration. So, yeah, in October, he's gone. We get new leadership. He gets judged, and the sun is shining for us. Um, they finally run out of medical treatments, uh, faces judgment, and it feels like the US, Canada, and uh, Mexico start to talk to each other civilly again. Uh, Not right away. I mean, the US is definitely in a state of introspection, thinking, what have we done? But there'll be some unlikely partners, like Republicans and Democrats doing something together is what it feels like. I'm not sure what that is. And people are just way more calm because we've moved out of the trouble. So let's see what's underneath here. Yeah, people really thinking about what he did. Uh, People thinking of, with the Queen of Wands, the Three of Pentacles, people thinking about, money, in particular, money between US, Canada, and uh, the Mexico. Eight of Wands, things will speed up there. And this becomes a big crossroads because every time we change a leader, it is a crossroads. So, yeah. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with another video soon.